Hello, I'm Javier.
And I'm Belén, and we are from Political Watch.
We are glad to present Parlamento 2030, a free, easy and accessible tool that enables users to monitor the activity of the Spanish Parliament and its relations with the 2030 agenda.
On a daily basis, the tool gathers all the information from the Spanish Congress and then labels and classifies it according to the 17 SDGs and their targets. It then offers all this information through a series of features that we will show you now.
With its search engine, users can navigate parliamentary activity related to the SDGs very easily. Users can also select their own search parameters to respond to their specific search needs. If you want to keep up with parliamentary developments on a specific issue or SDG, Parlamento 2030 offers a simple yet effective notification system. Once you have defined your search criteria, click on Create an Alert, and you will receive all the parliamentary developments that correspond to your search criteria in your email.
Parlamento 2030 also provides you with detailed information about what MPs do. You can access to their profiles and discover which are the latest parliamentary initiatives and which SDGs and issues are the most promoted by MPs and their parliamentary groups.
But the technology behind Parlamento 2030 goes beyond this. Access Scanner 2030 to tag any document you choose. Shortly, you will receive the linkages between your text and the SDGs and their targets, aside from different visualizations that you can share and reuse.
Parlamento 2030 is designed to be easily adapted to any context and language. Its open source construction facilitates its adaptation to other national or local parliaments other than Spanish. In addition, the existence of a beta version of Scanner 2030 in English can already be used by English-speaking users to analyze the presence of the SDGs in any text of their interest.
Using Parlamento 2030 and Scanner 2030 also allows us to respond to some of the most important political challenges of our time. The lack of access to information, of lack of transparency, the scarcity of spaces of public participation, the lack of media attention to some of the most important social challenges, or also the lack of a system of incentives for good or bad political behavior related to the 2030 agenda.
For example, Scanner 2030 has been used by several types of groups, like journalists, university students, and even the private sector, to identify the presence of the 17 SDGs in several types of documents. This has served, on the one hand, to improve the knowledge of the 2030 agenda, and on the other hand, to include this perspective of the SDGs and their targets into their own documents, like strategic business plans, journalistic articles, or even the research work.
In our opinion, the different stakeholders need to know about the 2030 agenda and bring it closer to their own realities. That's why Parlamento 2030 has been designed thinking on very different audiences. Civil society organizations, the media, the academia, the private sector, and even public institutions. Thanks to the 2030 agenda, each of them can see their own political and social realities through a pair of SDG glasses, enhancing the idea of coherence and transversality that goes through the entire agenda.
This, in turn, generates an incentive for those representatives promoting the values of the 2030 agenda, which directly impacts in the implementation of the 17 SDGs. Having the information makes it easier for those actors to empower themselves and demand all the changes necessary to apply the 2030 agenda.
Access Parlamento 2030 and discover it by yourself.